Awesome. Really great to have your company this Saturday. Thank you. I thought we could kick off with a story inside NHS told to ditch some targets in drive to slash waiting times. Bethany.
This is a really interesting story about this huge conundrum of how to fix the problems in the NHS. And what it sounds like is happening, according to the Times, is a kind of rejigging of priorities. So some targets do sound like they are getting ditched. The Times cites a pledge to establish a women's health hub in every region. And this is to put more energy into just cutting waiting times. The Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, is saying that all the energy needs to go in there, and then we will see later, I suppose, what kind of fills those gaps. There's some really worrying and interesting data here. Long waits in A&E could be contributing to the 1,100 deaths a week. Waiting more than 12 hours in A&E doubles the risk of dying within a month. So you can really see there are so many reasons why cutting waiting times is so important.
Yeah, and Sir Keir Starmer sort of focusing, isn't he, that people will be seen within 18 weeks of needing that appointment. But with long waiting times elsewhere, crumbling buildings, it's always going to be something that you're plugging the gaps, which then ultimately leaves patients maybe losing out. Yeah. Which is quite worrying. Let's move on to the Financial Times, please, Alison.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about an obesity drug.
Yes, which in a way is related to NHS waiting times.
Page 14, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. If you have a healthier public, then hopefully you have less demand on the system. And in some ways, you know, the hope is that by having even more drugs on the market, this is a good idea. So, Novo Nordisk is one of the two main companies in the world. Their competitor is Eli Lilly, that has produced weight loss injections and now pills. But they've just are in clinical trials, advanced stage clinical trials of another compound that's going to be even more effective in helping people lose weight, which...
Alison, I'm going to have to pause you there. I'm very sorry. We do have some live pictures now, or their latest pictures, apologies. This is Red Cross, the latest pictures here from the Red Cross, heading and driving through Gaza. What we understand is they're heading to pick up those 4 hostages, those young girls, 3 20-year-olds, 1 19-year-old. And this is all in an exchange with 200 Palestinian prisoners. The names have been released. This is what we're hearing. And that exchange will happen in the coming hours. These are the very latest pictures there. This is all part of that very fragile ceasefire deal that has paused fighting and in hope for many of the hostages, the family hostages, to be reunited with families they haven't seen for 15 months. There are also pictures that we'll be showing you very shortly of the latest pictures of Hamas waiting for that convoy in a square to arrive, for that exchange to happen. And this is Gaza City Square. So these are the very latest pictures that you're seeing, that Red Cross convoy heading towards Gaza City Square. I will be speaking to our Middle East correspondent, Alistair Bunkle, very shortly to get the very latest on that. So we're going to pause there and we're going to go back to Alison, who was detailing you know, we're talking about NHS wait times, people really finding it hard to lose weight, the nation being heavier and bigger. And is the answer weight loss drugs? Is that the answer? The big question is...
Answer. It's a great question. It's part of the answer. The other part of the answer is changing lifestyle habits, changing what foods you eat, changing the volumes, changing when you eat. So it's not that you just a magic, you know, injection is going to magically want you to, you know, melt away fat. But it has to be in combination with other changes that you make to your lifestyle. And these drugs actually do impact your cravings. They remove cravings, and they actually supposedly make people on them want healthier foods. less processed foods, fresh foods. It's quite interesting.
It'd be really interesting to see where that all lands, really, here in the UK, and the availability also on NHS lists, which many people complaining that they're waiting and waiting and waiting for that. We're going to move over to The Guardian, Bethany, because we've been detailing Donald Trump's first week, really, in office. And one of the threats that he's followed through with is foreign aid, and that's been frozen for 90 days. And how are the the papers are covering this is that trip that he made to California to talk about the wildfires too.
Yeah, devastating wildfires that are continuing to rage. It's really, terrifying scenes. And Donald Trump said yesterday he's considering getting rid of FEMA, which is the organisation that deals with these kind of emergencies. What a time to announce it. He said that FEMA has been a very big disappointment, described it as bureaucratic and very slow. What a lot of President Trump's aims are, he says, with these kind of moves, are to remove that kind of bureaucracy, to speed things up, and save money in some of these cases. Critics of Trump are definitely going to say no. Are going to say don't. Especially right now, it's a really bad idea. We're just out of a pandemic. There are wildfires raging in California, but he started really strong in terms of signing all of these executive orders and making these really wide-ranging, big decisions, and this seems like might be one of them.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the pushback and how much weight that will eventually have, because there will be very many lawsuits to all of these executive orders.
There already are. And as a Californian myself, having had many friends lose their homes in LA over the two main fires in Altadena and then Pacific Palisades, you're messing with the 5th largest world economy. So California on its own is that scale. So I don't think Californians are necessarily going to sit back and just watch it play out.
Yeah, indeed. Let's talk about Google. They want to crack down.
Another California company.
What's really interesting about this is they want to crack down, don't they, on those fake reviews that then push up your rating on Google when you do a Google search.
Correct.
This is the story.
Yes.
It's in the iWeekend.
Exactly right. So basically, Google has agreed, under pressure from the Competition and Markets Authority in this country, to be much more vigilant about people uploading fake reviews, and to now sort of publish warnings, this is a fake review, or this account has fake reviews. And so, interestingly, the CMA, Competition Markets Authority, estimates up to £23 billion of UK consumer spending each year is influenced by reviews, and many of them are fake. So we're talking about fraud here, basically.
It's the one thing you do when you're researching, well, I know I do, a product, a website. You look at the reviews, don't you?
Sure you do.
And it will influence whether you go with A or B. So it's really quite important.
It's super important. And, 89% or so of us consumers rely on reviews to inform and influence our purchasing decisions.
Yeah, OK. Bethany, take us through our next story. Legally binding climate and nature bill dropped. It's in The Guardian. Yeah,
so this was a bill introduced by Ros Savage, a Lib Dem MP, and it was going to make a lot of the climate targets legally binding, kind of putting more pressure on the government to reach them. It was voted down, and this, according to the report, was a result of, it was voted down because Labour said, please don't vote for it. Now, it sounds as though Ed Miliband, the Energy Secretary, has said, look, vote this down, but if you do that, we will give you other things to protect the environment, because the government, the Labour backbenchers, are they're very conscious of the environment. It's a really important thing to many of the people in the party, and so voting down this bill will have been a difficult choice for them.
OK, we're going to have to leave it there. Bethany, Alison, always a real pleasure to have you in on the studio with our paper review. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. We're going to take you live to the latest pictures, rather, of Gaza City Square, because what we're seeing now is potentially those Red Cross convoy has arrived there. This is the exchange that we've been talking about all morning of those female Israeli hostages. They're expected to be released at some point today. We also saw in Gaza City that Hamas gunmen and crowds had gathered basically ahead of this release too. So there are 200 Israeli prisoners that have also been named by Hamas that are set to be released today. And this is since this very fragile ceasefire has been agreed between Israel and Hamas. And once we get more information on this, we will bring it to you. But these are just Hamas fighters and crowds in Gaza City gathering to watch what will be another historic moment in the war in Gaza. Join us after the break with the very latest.
Mandatory evacuation, you must